Hello and welcome to Funhaus. This episode is brought to you by Lisa Mattress. Oh. Sound off. All right. Our guests today are power couple Bruce and Autumn and power bottom Jacob Fullerton.
Boing. Jacob read your joke before we started recording.
He preloaded the sound effect that he was going to do.
It's a superhero joke.
Right, that makes sense.
All right, so just so you guys know, as usual with new releases, the first part of this podcast will remain spoiler-free, and we'll very clearly announce when we begin discussing spoilers, so don't be afraid to listen in. You don't need to know about spoilers, though, because you saw the movie. What movie did we see, Bruce?
The Incredibles 2.
Is that a sequel? Bruce?
I'm not going to answer that. I'm not going to dignify that with a response.
Well, you should dignify it, because I'm going to ask everybody first about the first one.
Okay.
What are your feelings on Pixar in general? And are you guys big animation buffs? Do you watch every animated movie, or you don't really care? You catch here and there? Do you guys love Pixar? Like, what's the deal, y'all?
I think it's safe to say for me that I watch every Pixar film because their track record is pretty close to spotless. There are a few movies, obviously, they kind of miss the mark a little bit, but otherwise, Pixar is generally enjoyable for a normal movie-going audience. Animation, though, not at all. I'm not like, I'll see an animated movie here and there, but I very rarely will go out of my way. But The Incredibles was absolutely a franchise I was going after.
Yes. Totally. Autumn?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same for me. I mean, like, it depends on what studio it is, kind of. Like, if it's a Studio Ghibli film, like, I'll watch that. If it's a Pixar, I'll do that. If it's Disney, I'll probably try to do that. But it's dependable on what it is, for sure. Yeah. So, yeah.
Cool. Now, on the other side of the spectrum...
Are you saying Jacob's autistic?
Which spectrum is that?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I know Jacob has a Crunchyroll subscription.
I do.
I know that he saw the movie Your Name
in theaters,
which is not a Ghibli film.
We saw that. But we watched it on Crunchyroll. So
yeah.
It's great.
Oh, maybe you guys are bigger fans of animation than you thought.
Maybe. I look for good movies.
We're not weebs, dude. Come on, move on.
But, I mean, same. I've generally tried to watch all the Pixar movies, at least the ones that I think will be good. Like, I didn't go to see Cars 2 or 3 or anything like that.
But you've
what
seen
about Planes? You watch Planes?
No, that one wasn't Pixar, though.
Oh, okay.
Planes wasn't Pixar?
It wasn't.
What
it was
was
just
it?
like, I don't know what it was.
Some bootleg studio?
I don't want to think about Planes too much. But
I know Cars 2 has like a spy sequence where a car
the
picks
whole
up
movie
a gun
is the
with
spy
its tire.
sequence.
What?
Yeah.
But,
Cool.
yeah, I've enjoyed a lot of Pixar movies. I really like the Brad Bird ones, so I was very excited about this.
Yeah, okay, so I'm also kind of with you guys. Not the biggest animation. I love it. I don't seek it out.
Yeah.
But Brad Bird is incredible. With his animated stuff.
There we go. That's
Tomorrowland, not so great.
Tomorrowland. I was actually
Giant?
Yeah.
Iron Giant's wonderful.
Incredibles?
Yeah, good movie. Great
very
movie,
good.
yeah.
Ratatouille?
Yeah, good.
I never saw Ratatouille.
Really?
I was going to say, a lot of people didn't see that movie because it was okay.
Rats.
What do you remember about Ratatouille?
The food.
I was really young.
Yeah,
so
nobody remembers anything about Ratatouille.
Yeah.
And
I remember that I know if you get on a human's head and pull their hair, you can control them.
I know the French girl in that movie was super hot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
That's
at all
all I remember. So.
I would remember that too.
Yep. She stole the show from the rat. Kind of sucks.
Speaking of hot, Jack has powers, y'all.
The baby. Well, we already knew
baby.
that. That was at the very end of the
It's-
first Incredibles.
I thought it was at the end of the first one, and they all said Jack has
That's what I
powers.
said.
They didn't
Yeah.
know, and the reason they didn't know is because it only happened in the
It
sky.
happened up.
Yeah. And they're like,
Syndrome
what's going
knew,
on?
but Syndrome is dead.
Did he?
Yeah.
He die?
He
Yeah.
got
Yeah,
sucked
he
into a
got
jet
pulled in the
engine.
turbine, yeah.
He got
That's right. He died.
He died a horrible
Yeah.
death.
It's one of those Pixar deaths where you're like, he died horribly,
He's dead.
but we didn't
That's the
see
thing
it.
about the first Incredibles. It's full of people are dying left and right in that movie.
Yeah.
They're like the kids are killing people.
I want to use that to get to the review of Incredibles 2, though. That's important. Should we talk about the first Incredibles before we do that, or no?
Well, no, I mean, it's fine. I just want to talk about your guys' initial thought. Like, were you excited for this? Had you been waiting for this?
Oh.
And what did you think, coming out of it, spoiler-free, how you feel?
I guess I'll start. The first Incredibles was great. It was a great movie. I remember really enjoying it. I remember everybody that I talked to really loved it. And I didn't need a sequel. I was like, oh, it'd be cool if they made a sequel, and forgot all about it. And they had even started the movie out by saying it had been 14 years since the first one.
Did it actually take them that long?
It was 2004. That is correct.
They started it with all of the actors on camera apologizing for the sequel taking too long.
This is a new thing.
We're so sorry.
This is a new thing. I've seen this in other movies. They'll have the actors be like, thanks for coming to our movie, which I kind of like. I think it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
I appreciate them saying like, hey, thanks for waiting or whatever, and we really appreciate you giving us your money and all that other stuff. But that was kind of cool.
It seems to me as though that's the studios trying to incentivize people to come into the theaters.
You are absolutely correct. That's exactly what it is.
But I've never seen anything about that outside of being inside of a theater.
No, I've only seen a few movies that have done that. I think they may have been both Disney films. But I remember that happening where they had the actors be like, you know what? Thanks, because nobody's going to the movies nowadays. So thanks for giving us.
All sad about it.
No, seriously. But then, Incredibles 2. I had heard. I was like, oh, cool. They're gonna make Incredibles 2. I was actually really disappointed with Tomorrowland from Brad Bird. I was very excited for Tomorrowland because I was like, Brad Bird, like he never screws up.
And it's my favorite park.
Star
I was like,
Wars
I can't. And it was like George Clooney. I was like, I can't wait. I'm going to see it first day. And I went and saw it first day. And I was like,
oh no,
oh boy.
You weren't excited when George Clooney and that robot child were in love with each other at the end?
What?
Yeah. Yes, that was a weird thing that happened. It was a very strange movie, kind of tone deaf. But either way, so after I saw Tomorrowland, I didn't care about Incredibles 2.
Oh,
because I was like, maybe Brad Bird's lost it. I don't know.
Could be. Before we talk about Incredibles 2, I want to talk about what was it called? Dim Sum or no? Bao.
Bao.
Yeah.
Bao.
What
so, for y'all that are not familiar, Pixar always starts off with a little short, and this short was weird as fuck. It's about a Korean mother.
Well, dim sum's, I think, traditionally Chinese, isn't it?
Bao?
I think.
It wasn't dim sum. That was me being wrong.
Well, no, they were like dumplings and stuff.
Yeah, maybe, I guess Chinese dumplings, but I've also seen them in those dumplings in Malaysia.
Yeah,
They're all over.
You might be right. I
Asia.
thought I could be wrong.
Anyways, it's about a mom who a dumpling comes to life, and then what happens?
She raises it as her son.
It grows through the stages of life. It's beautiful and nostalgic, and then he becomes like a angsty teen dumpling.
That's true.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that she bites it and it screams in pain.
That
was where
beginning.
it discovers.
Yeah.
That's why she discovers it's a baby.
He was an accident.
Yeah.
Anyways, not gonna spoil that, but it's fucking weird.
Yeah. It was great though.
It made me really sad. I think I teared up at the end.
Yeah.
But it was also really weird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like crying at the end, but I was like, what? I'm so confused,
Why am I
but I'm
crying?
sad.
Yeah.
Like, why?
Yeah.
Confused crying is the best crying.
Yeah.
And I noticed in the very beginning of Incredibles 2, this is not a spoiler, but it starts out with an interview that was reminiscent of this short that just played. It's the babysitter who we check in with throughout all Incredibles 1. She's like leaving messages. It's her being interrogated by Dicker.
Dicker.
Oh, yeah.
And the movie starts out with a similar interrogation scene, and ends the same way. Anyways, Incredibles 2. What'd you guys think?
It was good.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
It was it's crazy. I mean, I mentioned this when we were walking out, but like animation has come a really long way in 14 years.
It really has.
Yeah.
Especially like I think we all watched the first one recently, so like the juxtaposition was like very apparent. But like the style's still there, so it didn't feel jarring or anything. It looked awesome.
Stylistically, it was very similar, but just rendering power-wise, it was everything
Looked great.
just blew you away.
The water looked amazing.
It seemed like they
Hair
were
looked
showing off a lot. Like when they get to like a new house, you see that in the trailer. They get to a new house and they're just like going through all the features of the house.
Yeah.
And it's like, here's where animation is in 2018.
Yeah, that's true.
These are all the things we can simulate.
What are you watching?
Oh, so this is a little short doc that is on the Incredibles 1 special features DVD where it follows Sarah Vowell, the voice of Gretchen. Violet. The voice of Violet.
Gretchen.
I keep saying
Just saw the movie.
And she is a weirdo in the best way possible. She is obsessed with Abraham Lincoln, and she's written a bunch of stuff on him. And
What?
yeah, she like goes through like there's all this stuff of like she's showing off her collection of Abraham Lincoln.
What the hell?
Dude, that's actually kind of dope.
Yeah, I know. I want to rewatch this. I just remember watching this when I was like 16 and being like, who is this lady? How did they find her?
Crazy.
And coincidentally, a few weeks ago, I was watching the movie Adult Children of Divorce, which was a small indie movie with Adam Scott and a few other people. But she was a receptionist in it.
Huh.
And I was like, I know that lady. So I looked it up. And she's been in The Incredibles 1, The Incredibles 2, and that movie for some reason. She hasn't been in anything else.
It's because she's a weirdo.
Versatile.
John, did you like Incredibles too?
I friggin' loved it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I liked Incredibles when it came out. I thought it was great. And then I forgot about it for 14 years.
Yeah.
And then I watched it a week ago and was blown away.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I told you guys before the movie that I watched it with my dad, and he was crying during like the airplane scene where it was the mom telling the daughter to be strong and use her strength.
Yeah.
And when I was in high school, I was like, what a loser. You're crying. And I made fun of my dad like to his face. And then when I was watching it this past week, I was crying going, just be strong, Violet. Be strong.
I mean, when I saw that movie, I was like how old was I? Like 12?
You were young.
Yeah, I was young. So and then watching it again recently, you definitely appreciate it more because it's like a movie about the adults.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, that's something that they actually kind of changed up in this, is that it's about the whole family.
Yeah.
And finding the different strengths of, it just as a family grows over 14 years, kind of the means of, like, the way they, what is it? The
way they grow, or
no, not the camera's perspective, but our perspective of the story as the viewer.
Yeah, it's like the first one's like it's a marriage allegory, and this one's more about just a family, like being a parent.
Well, to be clear, this movie picks up immediately where the first Incredibles left off.
Yeah.
That's true.
There's no time in between the first two movies.
Literally,
cool.
like the post credits or something is the first scene.
Yeah.
The post credits to the first movie with the Underminer is the first scene here.
Yeah.
Um,
Autumn and I were laughing when we watched the Underminer because he says his threatening speech at the end of the first Incredibles, which is, what does he say?
Oh, he's like, I'm always beneath you, but nothing's beneath me.
It's such a
so
great
funny.
double entendre the way he says it, because he doesn't realize that when he says nothing's beneath him, he sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because then that sounds terrible, right?
You've been
he'll do
undermined.
anything. Yeah.
I love
I also
him.
noticed after I watched the first one last night, they made what was his name? The guy that Violet's into?
Tony.
Tony. They made him look less shitty.
oh, really?
Like, he looked like kind of gross in the first one. Yeah, yeah. And he looks
he
just
looked
like a
a little
normal
creepy.
person in this one.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, this is the evolution of animation. I actually,
shit.
when I lived up in Oakland, I lived with a woman who worked at a daycare where in Emeryville, where a number of Pixar families had their kids, and we actually got to get a tour of Pixar. And so I just got flashbacks seeing those like lifeless T-pose bodies floating through scenes, because the guy who was giving us the tour had been doing that since like Toy Story or something. It was when when Brave was coming out, or when they were working on Brave. He loaded up a scene from Brave, and it was just like this frizzy-haired doll floating around a scene, like as dialogue happened, and I was like, this is animation. Like I could totally do that.
Dude,
Like,
why?
you don't-
3D rigging is like terrifying.
Yeah,
it's
well,
so scary.
He didn't have to worry about that. He was just moving bodies around. It was basically he was like visual storyboarding or something.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It was like staging out the cameras and the bodies of where they were going to be.
That's
So
actually, sorry to interrupt you. The first thing that I like really appreciate about Incredibles when we watched it a week ago was how good it's staged. Like the shots are staged really well, and like all the shot compositions are awesome.
They were in this movie too.
Yeah, they were. It carried over. Do you
Yeah.
call that cinematography for animation, or is it?
when it's camera work?
Yeah, it's still the same, right?
I think they have like someone who's just
that guy's a co-director of photography there.
That's the thing that's crazy. I used to watch all of the behind the scenes of every DVD I had, and like in the Incredibles one and in the Monsters Inc. one, they go in depth about every step of their movies. And there are people, all they do for 4 years is lighting. That's all they do.
That's crazy.
And then there are also people, because Pixar has their own like 3D software that they've built. There are also people that are just lighting coders, because how that stuff works is all math and everything, and they're just writing algorithms and shit to make it look how they want it to look and have things reflect how they want it to be. So just like it reminds me of Lord of the Rings, because there were two dudes over the like 3 or 4 years that Lord of the Rings, the original Lord of the Rings, was in production. All they did was make chainmail. They had a little printer that printed out spirals, and they'd snip the chainmail and they'd thumb it together, weaving all this stuff. And they actually, both of them don't have fingerprints on their thumbs anymore.
Oh, wow.
Because they, for 2.5 years straight, they were just linking little plastic chains together.
So that's what I guess we should say. Those are the real heroes of movies like The Incredibles. Is like these guys have been animating for 4 years.
Yeah, no kidding.
James always talks about the block of text of names that you see. It says animators, and it's just like 30 seconds of names of people that made this movie. And that's one of the things that makes Incredibles and Incredibles 2 so awesome is the animation. The animation style, like you said, it holds up. It still holds up after years and years and years. You can watch it 14 years later and it still holds up. But then also when it needs to look real or it needs to look like pretty or scary, it's perfect. The animation in this movie is practically perfect.
Yeah, and like it looked good, but there are also scenes that were just like totally visually impressive, which like I wouldn't want to spoil or anything, but there is.
Well, we should start. Can we start spoilers?
Hold on.
Oh, damn it.
Let me just read this ad real quick.
Okay.
Speaking of spoilers,
Nice.
I've got a hot spoiler for you.
What?
It's about a deal on a mattress.
I don't understand.
It's called Lisa Mattress. They've been a sponsor of us for a long time. They're great. I've spoken about them before. First off, sleep is important, right, guys?
It's
Can
probably
we
one
all?
of the most important things, like of all time in your life.
Yeah, as you'll see in Incredibles too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And there you go. Something I learned was that Lisa Mattress, they're hot on the scene. They've been around for a little bit, but the people who are behind Lisa Mattress have over 30 years of experience making mattresses. So they're not just these young hotshots. What are you guys, holding hands?
No.
These young hotshots out the gate being like, I know how to make a bed. I've never made one. They've got 30 years experience, and on top of that, hundreds of hours of testing to develop the perfect mattress.
That sounds like a job you would love.
That was literally when I read that, I was like, oh, snap. Could you imagine that's your job? Is you sleep on a mattress and wake up and go, how'd I do? Let me take a little kipper and let it figure that out. I need 50 more minutes. And not only are they a good mattress company, they're also in multiple ways working to create a better world. And that sounds, everybody can say that, but they're actually doing real stuff. They have the 110 program, which is they donate one mattress for every 10 sold. So they work with organizations, nonprofits, 501c3s all around the country, and donating mattresses to like homeless shelters. And there's a bunch of different steps from being completely homeless to being well on your feet in a home. And there are organizations for each step of that, and they donate mattresses.
Oh, that's cool.
All across it.
Yeah.
They've donated over 26,000 mattresses and counting.
Wow.
Wow.
And not only that, they are also planting trees.
Oh, wow. Jeez. They're doing everything.
Damn. They're the real heroes.
Yeah, they work with the Arbor Day Foundation, and they plant one tree for every mattress they sell, and are committed to planting 1 million trees by 2025. And that's completely optional for a for-profit company. Like, they are basically taking money out of their profits to just like do good, which is something a superhero might do, guys, right?
Nice. Good segment.
And so they've got a special summer savings deal going on. You can get $130 off a Lisa mattress at lisa.com/filmhouse. $130 off any mattress. Any mattress. It's not a percentage, it's flat rate. So if you don't need a California King like Bruce here, you get a smaller mattress. That's a huge chunk off your mattress. Still a huge chunk off California King. Just gotta say that. But that's lisamattress.com/filmhouse. That's LEESA.com/FILMHAUS. And now we will begin talking about spoilers.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
I should get a little sound on the. I could like a soundboard.
Oh, you should.
Spoiler
You can
horn.
just add that in the
Yeah.
end.
Omar, do the spoiler horn. Did you guys hear that?
No.
I don't think he added it. Anyways, did you guys know what was going on? I knew what was going on.
Yes.
In the movie?
Yeah.
So that was my problem the whole time.
Yeah.
Was that I guess the first Incredibles was like that, where you knew
Something was
you
up.
could guess who Syndrome was.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You knew who you're like, oh, Syndrome's a kid at the beginning of the movie. Like, why would they have shown us the kid if it wasn't supposed to be that, at the end of the movie? So,
Yeah.
and it was the same here. You knew immediately it was going to be one of the two people.
Yeah,
they
that's the one thing I
introduced.
didn't know was which one it was going
Yeah.
to be.
I knew.
I thought it was both for a hot second.
I did too.
Yeah.
So because she was Autumn leaned over and she was like, it was Bob Odenkirk's character. I think it's Bob Odenkirk.
It was Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah, and I
oh
was
my
like-
God. The whole time I was like,
I'm pretty sure it's Catherine Keener. Because there's like,
oh, it's Catherine Keener.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm the worst
Did
at
you look at
connecting
the
voices to
credit?
both voices. I was
Yeah.
like, I
It's-
know these people.
It was brother sister. And yeah, for a little bit I was like, oh, maybe they're working in tandem to be bad. But then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, nah.
Yeah.
Like they have dark circles under her eyes. They're giving it away.
Yeah.
that she's the villain.
I
But
just remembered back to when they first talked about what happened to their dad. She was like,
Oh,
Mom wanted to go to the
yeah.
safe
right.
room.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and that's why I was just like, okay, it's her.
It's her,
Yeah.
yeah. And I don't necessarily think that this movie survives on that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
No,
think it's like...
not at all.
I
Like-
don't-
It's like the first one. It's more about the relationships.
yeah,
in it.
yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the thing that I was okay with and was happy about, that I thought that twist was going to happen at the end, and I was like, what's going to happen after that? And that twist happened like middle or 2/3.
2/3, yeah.
And
Yeah.
then they took the power away from Elastigirl, and then they took the power away from Mr. Incredible, and it was like, the kids have to save everybody, and I thought that was dope.
That was
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it was really cool to get more like Jack lore.
Oh, yeah. The baby.
I love
There are
Jack
some
Jack. He's
wonderful
the best.
Jack moments in this movie.
There's
The
so
whole
many.
sequence with a raccoon.
Yep.
Oh,
So
man.
He gets in a
funny.
fight with it is delightful.
It's very, very
That-
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole thing of him watching the TV and panning from like the robber over to raccoon,
Yeah.
and him like getting the idea and like wanting to be like his parents. Oh shit, that's freaky.
Yeah, look at her hair. Oh my
God.
We just we're watching the making of Incredibles 1, and we're watching some T-Pose
No!
stuff.
They're gonna do the boat
So
part.
freaky.
Don't turn into a boat. Oh God.
And yeah, Jack, how many powers does he have?
Looks like he's got everything.
He's got all of them.
He's
he
a
could just do
polymorph.
whatever.
Is that what
Yeah.
Edna said?
Yeah, he's a polymorph. He can go to another dimension.
Oh my fucking God.
He can he can turn into fire. He can.
The little demon thing.
You can turn into a little jelly
he can,
baby.
He can change his
Oh, yeah.
face to look like other people.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
He can shoot lasers out of his eyes, which is great because when they taught him to shoot lasers out of his eyes, they'd say pew pew.
Oh,
Yeah.
he
And they
becomes
tap him.
giant baby.
That's
he
right.
turns
He
into
became
a
giant baby.
swollen baby.
Swollen
It
baby.
was really that was fun. I think that's kind of a wild card, sort of lazy to me, where I'm like, he can do anything.
Yeah, it was kind of they they had him solve a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
By chance.
He was
Yeah.
like their Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
moved things with his mind because he took off
Yeah.
the goggles that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they made him really fun to watch, so it was like ended up being
Yeah.
totally
Yeah.
fun.
And whoever the kid was really funny. Like
Dash?
that. No, sorry. The small child that was voicing Jack.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
that's something that's always great about Pixar movies. Like with Monsters Inc., they had like a mobile mic and recording thing and just followed around one of the 3-year-old kids.
Oh,
Really?
really? That's
yeah,
so cute.
That's what's her name?
Boo?
Boo? Yeah, Boo was like a little girl
Oh.
who was
That's awesome.
a daughter of one of the animators, and they would just follow her around the office with a microphone.
That's amazing.
That's adorable.
Who's your favorite non-main superhero?
Favorite non-man superhero.
Oh, man.
I liked Void.
Void was cool.
She was
Void
cool.
was pretty
Yeah.
cool.
She's Portal.
Yeah.
She's Portal.
Portal girl.
Great.
Yeah.
I thought I actually liked Reflux because I thought even though he was an old man,
Yeah.
I thought that his power was cool, spitting lava basically.
And
Yeah.
he still got it. Kind of like you, Bruce.
I am pretty old.
Are you Reflux?
You do have acid reflux.
No, I don't. That's only when I drink
Okay, well, maybe
for
your
5 days.
your stomach's just upset a lot because of the things you eat.
Something that was also incredible in this, and like,
What?
Get it?
it was incredible. Oh,
Get it?
I
said
didn't
it
even
twice.
realize.
Yeah.
It was phenomenal in the first one. All the action sequences were great.
Yeah,
Like they were always edge of your seat, a lot of fun. But in this one, they just amped it up.
They did.
It was insane. Like I was talking about their understanding and use of physics with Elastigirl was really cool. The whole bike sequence where she has this motorcycle that splits in half, and so she could like stretch herself and then drop the back half and then stretch back and like shoot herself up into the air.
Use
like,
her momentum and stuff.
yeah, like I guess in the movie they'd done a few things with stretching, like she would grab onto poles, stretch back and slingshot herself,
Yeah.
but like
The obvious stuff.
yeah, the whole bike sequence was just
Really cool.
mind-bending.
Yeah.
It was
Like,
really cool.
it was so
Yeah.
awesome.
I feel like in the first one, there's a little bit of fun Elastigirl stuff, but it's mostly just her stretching and things like that.
So
But
they
in
turn
this
into a
movie-
parachute or a boat.
Yeah, or a boat.
Yeah.
And in this one, they do really unexpected and cool things with her.
They do.
Yeah.
And she's like the center of a lot of the action, which is really awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought I still think that the movie. Well, I guess I'll just spoil it now.
Yeah.
I don't think this movie is nearly as good as the first Incredibles. Because it lacks the heart that the first movie had.
Yeah.
There was nobody was in danger in Incredibles 2. Nobody. I never thought for a second anybody was going to get hurt or die or anything like that. And I remember, I think it was you were saying the first one's pretty dark. Was that you? Somebody we were talking about it, and maybe it was Elise, and we were both like, man, it's so dark. The first Incredibles, like, when she was screaming at Violet to use her powers, like she
Yeah.
was worried because people are probably going to die.
Yeah.
Like she was worried because her kids are probably going to die. And Mr. Incredible, when he's captured and he finds out his family's dead,
Yeah, he
Yeah.
thinks his family's dead.
he's going to kill that woman.
Yeah,
Like, he's going to murder
snap her
her.
like a toothpick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And so those are real like
true.
heart wrenching moments that you're like something bad could happen here. And in this movie, not at all. I didn't get that for 1 second. It didn't feel like that to me. I could be wrong though. Is there something that I'm missing or?
No, I don't think so. I think, there's some real peril in the first one with just like the whole situation they're in. But in this one,
I'm trying to think of a time that.
I feel like Jack also kind of dampened on any of the tension because he was always
That's true.
he was just giggling
Yeah.
through everything.
Yeah.
So the whole end, it was like, okay, there's a laughing baby here. We don't have to worry about anything.
yeah. And I guess they didn't really put them in any situations where there was like mortal danger or anything. Like the first one, they're on an island full of people that want to kill them
Yeah.
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And this one, they're just like, there's somebody who wants to crash a boat into the city at the end.
On the island, they have machine guns, and they're
Yeah.
shooting at children with
true.
their machine guns.
You're right.
The children
Yeah.
kill them.
Yeah, and they like crash into walls
And
and
explode and die.
Yeah. Maybe that's something that's kind of changed either about society or like Disney's
It's true.
control
Yeah.
over Pixar of like, because Incredibles, there were at least 20 people that died, counting like all the henchmen and all the supers.
Yeah.
But this one, nobody died, no casualties, no nothing.
Yeah, that's true. The only part that was like even remotely jarring for me was when she was in the like room with a fucking screenslaver and all the lights are flat.
Oh,
but
yeah.
that,
It's gonna give you a
that
seizure.
wasn't. Yeah, that wasn't because I was like, she's gonna die. It was just because like, holy fuck, what is happening?
Yeah,
Jesus
that part
Christ.
looked crazy.
Yeah.
It did look really crazy. That was a really.
It was actually hard to look at it.
Yeah, going back to the animation, it was amazing.
I was trying to
Yeah.
think of what to compare it to because I was looking at it like this looks like something like visually, it almost looked like
I don't know.
like just a bunch of like comic panels or something.
Mm-hmm.
The way it was just like flashing like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, be careful.
And all the old
Don't go in with epilepsy.
hypnosis adverts. Like I thought that was kind of cool. Like the whole hypnosis thing. There was the clock hanging on the wall with the spinning hypno stuff.
Yeah.
That kind of harkens back to like old magician stuff.
It does.
Like the aesthetic of it. I recognize it because I have a nerd friend who is really into that stuff.
Let me ask you this. How come when the goggles, so they're in the movie for you guys that don't know, there are goggles that go on the superheroes that control their eye, control their mind basically by hypnotizing them, and then immediately they're under the bad guy's control. How come they didn't just close their eyes?
Because it was once the moment you get a
like
flash.
Insta.
Was it Insta?
That's
Yeah,
what
it
I
was
thought.
Insta.
Yeah.
I wasn't, because for me the movie didn't quite explain that for me. I wish that it had shown when the goggles go on, it holds open their eyes or something.
Oh yeah.
That would help me. Just anything to tell me why. Because as soon as the goggles go on, you assume they're hypnotized. But
Well, also only Elastigirl knew. So like, for everyone else, they
Oh, I
put the
see.
goggles
I
on.
see
Your
what you're
first reflex isn't to close your eyes and block the
that's
mind
true.
control.
That's
thing.
true. Yeah, that's valid.
Oh, here we see some hair animation. That was another thing that I think I mentioned on the walk back, but that like the hair is so hard in animation, and in this one there was a scene where she just had the blow dryer and was pointing it different ways,
Yeah.
and her hair was going off, and I thought that was like them being like,
show.
Showing off.
it's so easy now.
Yeah.
Autumn, I thought you were going to say the only time you were scared was when they played that Nazi trailer before the movie.
Oh yeah, some
Holy
correct
shit.
trailers for the movie.
So in our theater, they played Girl in the Spider Web, which is like Girl with the Dragon Tattoo sequel, where a dude gets like tased in the nuts.
Yeah, there's some domestic abuse immediately.
Yeah.
He calls somebody a bitch.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
calls somebody a
her
bitch.
face is all bloody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
he's
my
all like,
gosh.
"Oh, you bitch!" And there's all these children in the theater.
and then it moved over to what's his name?
Nazi Ben Kingsley.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Ben
Ben
Kingsley
Kingsley's a
standing
Nazi.
there as a Nazi with all these like hundreds of
Jews.
Jews lined up with machine guns pointed at him, and he like waves his hand for them to shoot, and then and then it like freezes and glitches out and goes black, and then it comes up and it starts playing like what was the first trailer? It was like
I don't know.
a little kid.
It was definitely a kid's movie.
Yeah, it was all
Jurassic
kids.
World.
Oh, it's the
trailers.
Grinch. That's what
The
it was.
Grinch.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
How to Train Your
Yeah,
Dragon
it was
and
like,
stuff.
huh. Oh, okay.
Was there anything you didn't like about this movie? Incredibles 2? I'm curious.
No, I thought it was like genuinely a solid movie, like all the way around. I will say after you brought up that it was a little more like light, that I definitely did feel that way, but it was still
Yeah.
like a really solid movie. I don't think there's anything.
One thing that I really like that Brad Bird did with this movie, and he did in the first one too, is that just them as superheroes doing normal things. Like in this movie, it was like Mr. Incredible, like just taking care of his kids while his wife's off doing cool stuff. And it's normal things that are like enhanced by the fact that they're superheroes and have superpowers.
Right.
Yeah.
And like they're all just very relatable, despite the situation being super bonkers and weird.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought like with the first one, he did that too. It's a family, and you understand they're a family, and you relate to them all as a family.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
they're also jumping out of planes and turning into boats and stuff.
And I will say, actually, to your point, and also kind of to your point, like the first movie, I feel like was more
There he is.
enjoyable. Oh yeah,
He does look like
he
that.
does look creepy.
Yeah.
Was more enjoyable to watch as an adult.
Yeah.
Like this one, I felt was more geared towards kids, which like
was.
nothing wrong with
Yeah.
that. It's a kids movie, but like the first one, I would be able to take my kid to it. They would enjoy it in one way, and I would enjoy it as an adult, just like as a movie, because I would think there's parts that are funny and like
Yeah.
I would understand as an adult. This one, not so much, but it was still good.
Well,
Yeah.
Like John talked about, there were some really visceral reactions in the first one. I remember being really worried for them in the plane. And there's another spot in that movie where she's screaming at her to use her powers, and she doesn't do it. And it's like it's sort of a you keep expecting her to do it and save the day, and it doesn't happen. And I was like, wow, that's like pretty original that they subvert your expectations as a moviegoer.
Yeah.
This movie doesn't do that. It is exactly what you think it will be. I don't know that there was one time that something happened. I was like, I didn't expect that to happen.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's bad. That's just what happened. So.
It wasn't surprising.
It's safer.
It is very safe.
It's safer. It's much
a very
safer.
safe movie.
Just like society. Something that I think with every sequel is you're always weary of is the callbacks or like because there's always a formula that they kind of touch back on, and I knew Edna was coming back, and I was like,
of course.
how are they going to do this?
Yeah.
It's going to be like they're going to call back a bunch of stuff with Edna, and it's going to be like just rehashing jokes, and it wasn't. And I loved
true.
Edna's like little cameo, and they didn't overdo it.
That's true. You're right.
And it had a story purpose too.
Yeah, and it had a story
Yeah.
purpose, 100%. And yeah, I was. It was really funny.
Yeah.
Edna was so great in the first one, and although she got annoying like the 2 years after when everyone was still quoting Edna, and it was like, guys, shut up. But I loved seeing Edna back again.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
You were talking about the music from Michael Giacchino, or Giacchino, or however you say his name.
I think on his Twitter he has it written out phonetically, and I think it's Giacchino.
Giacchino. Okay.
Yeah.
He's great. Michael Giacchino's amazing. Obviously, he did Lost, which you said you almost bought a ticket to.
I spent $150 on a ticket to like an orchestra
so
playing.
stupid.
Dude.
That's so
It
stupid.
was 5 minutes after remembering that Lost existed, and then about 10 minutes later, I was mad at myself for buying the ticket. So it was about 15 minutes of emotion. Spent $150.
But he's also done. I believe he did Star Trek, the new Star Trek, and I believe he also did The Force Awakens as well.
Oh, cool.
Oh, really? Yeah. I
Was it
think
Force Awakens or Rogue One? I don't remember.
I mean, was it Rogue One?
because Force Awakens was John Williams.
Was it?
Yeah.
It was one of those.
I think it might have been Rogue One. I was trying to figure out what in my head, but then you mentioned it.
Because I thought, so J.J. Abrams and Michael Giacchino typically work together, and that's why I thought that he may have done The Force Awakens, or maybe he helped with it or something. But either way, it was great. What are you looking at? Usual Suspects?
I'm looking at Usual Suspects.
That was not at all what we were talking about.
Yeah. Look at
Damn it.
Look at
Wait.
Giacchino.
No. Okay.
He didn't do Usual Suspects.
What'd you say?
Usual Suspects.
I want to know composed music for Rogue One.
Yeah, what about Rogue One or Force Awakens
Hold
like
on,
we were
hold on,
talking
hold
about?
Am I thinking about a different person?
What are you thinking about?
I could have sworn.
Just look at who composed the music for Usual
music.
Suspects.
John Ottman. Damn it.
Okay, that's not anybody that I've heard of.
Never mind, guys. I thought that he was. So look, John Ottman was the music guy and the editor.
Oh, okay.
And-
That's cool.
Yeah,
Oh.
and so I guess I mistook it. I thought Michael Giacchino was him,
No.
or was one of those guys that composes and edits, because his music is always so in sync with everything that's
It
happening.
is. Yeah, he's very good at that.
He's very good at that,
Yeah.
and that was why I guess I falsely remembered that he was one of those guys that also edited. But yeah, they're like that. His music is just great.
It's great. It really is. It's some of the best next to Hans Zimmer and John Williams. So, but
Who else is there these days? John Williams, Hans Zimmerman, Michael G.
James Newton Howard.
Who's that?
I thought he did music for Titanic. I could be-
Newton? What are we talking about? Fallen Apples?
No, what are you talking about? He's a composer.
I'll look up the composer for Rogue One.
Newton?
Since he won't do it for you.
Wait, what's his name?
Newton Howard. Newton Howard.
Newton Howard.
Yeah.
PhD.
James.
and
No, his name is James Newton Howard.
Oh,
Just Newton Howard,
Okay.
the
Who's that
doctor.
guy? Oh.
James Newton
Ah,
Howard.
they look the
yes.
same.
Nice. IMDb.
Goodness gracious.
Let's check it here. Loading. IMDb is loading. Oh, he did King Kong.
Yeah, I know.
And he did Signs.
Peter Jackson's King Kong.
Oh, he did all the Batmans too.
Yeah, there you go. Batman Begins. Yeah.
That's cool.
Well, cool.
Rogue One was Michael Giacchino.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What was Force Awakens?
John Williams.
Oh, it was. All right. I wasn't sure.
Danny Elfman.
Yeah,
He's-
Danny Elfman also
What's he up to?
does very random stuff. Was it Justice League he did music?
Or
Really?
It was that or Batman versus Superman. He like did
That's
the
weird.
Batman theme or something, but I think that was it.
Oh, he did that for the animated series. What am I talking about? He did it for
What are we
original
talking
Batman.
about?
I don't know.
Holy
We've gone off the
shit.
rails. All right, guys.
Like that hover train.
Yeah,
in
just like the hover
in
train.
the Incredibles.
Well, I just want to thank you guys for being here with us. I loved seeing the movie with you guys.
Yeah, it was a great
It was a
movie.
good time.
I hope y'all enjoyed the movie as well. If you're still watching this, I hope you did, and you didn't just have us spoil everything, because it's very good, very fun.
You'll enjoy it even if we spoiled it.
Yeah.
That's true, actually,
I think
because
so.
nothing is surprising.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think you'll enjoy
there's
it.
no real twist.
Yeah.
Visual treat to watch.
Yeah.
Totally.
All right. Well, I think that about does it. And see you guys next week.
What's wrong
Are you
with you?
crying? What's
Yeah.
wrong?
No, I'm just very emotional. It was a good movie. And I'm thinking about
Are you thinking about
playing-
Bow?
you guys.
You got Bow on the brain?
Such a loser, Dad.
Now your dad's making fun of you.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Thanks.
Make the character from the show the one in the movie, something like that. Anything, but it's just amazing that like studios not talking to television, but they're just doing whatever the hell they want.
Here's my question for you, because it sounds like now they're going to have these different umbrellas.
There is.
So
That's a Slipknot.
the Jared Leto one will fall under present day